We are ready. We are locked in and ready for this day.
Today, tens of thousands of students across Jefferson County will head back to school, but it's also the first day for the district's new superintendent. This morning, we'll hear from him before doors open.
So routing kit feels good. Community feedback from 485 Ride has been good, so I feel confident that we'll have a successful first day.
Transportation officials say they've put in the work to keep everything in line to help get students to and from school. What they've done to prepare for the new school year.
Teaching a class and you're consistently remind students to put away their cell phones. When are you able to teach?
With the new year brings new changes to schools. One of the biggest bans students from using their cell phones in class. Why many teachers say this decision is best for students. Our full back-to-school coverage on Wave News Sunrise begins right now.
Now, Wave News Sunrise.
Happy Thursday and happy first day of school. I'm sure plenty of people now waking up with us, choosing to sleep in, take advantage of every single minute. Shannon Cogan live at the Nichols Bus Compound this morning. And Shannon, how's it feeling as if you were standing out at a bus stop? How would you give those students that heads up?
Well, kids, let me tell you, it's a little bit sticky out here. Just to give you an example, look at this paper. It's like it doesn't.
It's not like crunching or
damp.
Bending.
Everything is a little damp. Right. Everything is very damp out here this morning.
That was, I think, one of the most visceral ways I've ever seen humidity.
Right. Well, Shannon, we're going to check in with you in just a moment. But yeah, Tawana, I think she just stole your forecast. They're just sticky and gross and humid.
Honestly, that's it. We're in August, though, so it's not fully surprising that that's going on, but doesn't mean we have to like it, right? For those of you heading out this morning, we're keeping an eye on that SkyTrack camera, looking from portions of downtown Louisville off towards the east as we're getting into a little bit more of that patchy fog showing up in some spots now that we're getting closer to sunrise. So with so many kids heading back to school, that patchy fog is a concern this morning for drivers. Thankfully, it's not incredibly dense across the area. We're seeing that anywhere from portions of Lawrence County all the way south in the parts of Hardin County. So drivers, please be a little bit more aware as you are heading out. Temperatures are in the 60s and low 70s to start off today. So this is why we're warm. This is why we're muggy. We're dealing with those slightly higher dew points across the area to start off today. We're going to keep those around. So as you're heading out right now, if you look off into the distance, you can see that first bit of sunrise and a little bit of that fog. Plenty of sunshine for today as we climb to near 90 degrees for an afternoon high. We'll also have to watch for a little bit more of those isolated downpours trying to pop for later on today, but most of us staying dry. And of course, to that list of things you need for today, I've added hairspray, Olivia, since it is so muggy and humid out there.
Yeah, there you go. That's going to be the key to make sure your hair stays in place and it's not completely frizzy, curly, or flat like mine would be. That's fair. All the options that humidity could destroy it. Thanks, Tawana. This morning, more than 97,000 students are getting ready to head back to the classroom. Buses are starting their routes as it's the first day of school for JCPS. And my co-anchor, Shannon Cogan, again live at the Nichols Bus Compound where things are starting to pick up this morning. Good morning, Shannon.
Good morning. Yes, welcome to August 7th. This is the day that parents have been waiting for those kids to head back to school. We're going to be talking to the new superintendent, Dr. Brian Yearwood, here in just a couple of minutes. So if you are watching and saying, oh no, I have some bus route questions. Very simple. There's a hotline. That is 485-RIDE. You can call that. They've extended those hours for that, so they're opening up at 6 o'clock this morning. They're going to have people answering those calls until 7 o'clock this evening. They were 9 to 4. They've already taken more than 4,000 calls since they've had that 485-RIDE open for the last couple of weeks. You can also check out the bus teller to help you out with any bus questions. Also new this year, parents who drive their students to school will no longer get stipend payments this year. Those stipends were made available to families last year who lost bus transportation. District leaders say that the stipends could not be a part of this year's school budget. Now, there are 3 different start times across JCPS. They vary by the school school. The first group of students will start at 7:30 this morning, so I hope they're up and getting ready. The next group will start at 8:40, and the first two start times are for middle and high schools. That last start time is for 9:40. If you have any questions about your child's school start time, you can go to wave3.com. Now, this will be a really exciting first day of school for some kindergarteners because they were born in 2020 during the height of the COVID pandemic. And Wave News reporter Marissa Burke is live this morning at Crumbs Lane Elementary School with more. Hi, Marissa.
Hi, Shannon. So JCPS hosts a Ready for K camp to get kids prepared for this big first day. So some of the things they learn is, how to stand in a line and how to work together in a team setting, because a lot of these kids don't have that experience yet, right? So one of the things that I found is that Kids Count data shows that over the years, Kentucky is doing really well preparing kids for kindergarten. The numbers dropped slightly after COVID, but educators are noticing that this group of kids is eager to learn just like all the others. Some studies say that this group may not show any struggles adjusting to the classroom because they didn't have to transition to virtual learning. One principal described what she's noticing about her incoming kindergarten class.
I was really surprised in a very good way that when they came to our orientations, they just look like any other kindergartners that we have. We started some Burkingham's testing, some screening of the students while they were here, and we're pleasantly surprised. They're ready.
Doctors say that some things that parents can watch for in their kids is if they experience any social, emotional delays or difficulties with their motor skills. You might just want to help them with little things like that. But other than that, these kids are excited and ready. Still quiet here over at Crumbs Lane Elementary because the doors don't open here until 7:40. Well, school doesn't start until 7:40. So I'll stick around and hopefully get to talk to some of those eager kindergartners and share with you guys on how they're feeling on their first day. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Marissa. I am joined right now by the new superintendent, Dr. Brian Yearwood, who just started July 1st. So happy first day of school to you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, exciting day. Very excited. This is the day we've all been looking forward to, the day we've been working for, and my gosh, things are just buzzing today.
Yeah, they certainly are. So
Yes.
97,000 students attend JCPS. You have worked with small school districts, medium-sized, large ones. What is the big challenge when it comes to JCPS?
It's just understanding the systems. Every school district is unique, and learning the culture, learning the climate, learning how everything works together. And that's why I've been doing my listening tours, listening to parents, community, and it's exciting. Like I said, today it's not just about me. Today is about 96,000 students coming to school. I want to be there. I'll be out in schools. I'll be roaming around. I'll be getting to meet parents, seeing the teachers that have worked tirelessly to make this day happen, and our staff members, our central office staff, everyone that's gelling around starting school successfully. That's the excitement about today.
When you've had those listening tours, what are the big questions that parents have been asking?
Yes.
Is there a common theme?
Yes, they want to know what to expect, and I will always share with them I'm very big on academic growth. I want every child in this district, all 96,000, to grow. That means at least a year of academic growth in a year's time in math, in reading. Our students should be growing and learning, and that's a common expectation. Of course, there are other issues that come up, transportation and things like that, but we're working through that. We're working, to ensure that our students are making it to school on time, that our students are in seat and learning. That's very, very critical to the process.
Now, were you surprised that there were 4,000 calls made to that 485 ride? That's a pretty big number, right?
That's a pretty, but most importantly, we're able to take those calls and answer those questions. I think that's even more critical, that we're giving parents and those concerned answers to their questions and responding instead of having them, be left in limbo. That's the exciting part. The staff members that were committed to making that happen.
And when you talk about learning the culture of the school district, how would you describe the culture of JCPS, what you have learned so far?
Passion. lots of passion. Everyone that I've come across passionate about what they do, about the educational process, about JCPS, and not just inside, not just our staff. I'm talking about our community. I'm talking about, you know, the parents, even students that I come across. They talk about loving their teacher, loving their school. So again, it's that passion that exists that I want to see continued as we move forward in growing our students.
All right, Superintendent Yearwood, thank you so much. I hope you have a great first day.
Yes.
Where are you heading for your first school this morning?
Right now, I'm just here at Jacob, and then from here, we'll move out from here.
Okay,
So,
well, you're a busy guy today.
Yes.
Thank you
Yes,
so
yeah.
much.
Okay.
Well, this year there are some new laws in place, not only for JCPS, but also for the entire state. One new law requires a moment of silence at the beginning of every public school day. The law says that should last 1 to 2 minutes, and during that time, students are required to remain seated and silent. They're permitted to reflect, meditate, or also pray. Another new law requires elementary schools to teach cursive writing. The goal is for students to be proficient by the time they reach 5th grade. Research suggests learning cursive can enhance brain development, improve language, memory, fine motor skills. But this is the first time cursive will be a mandatory part of Kentucky schools since 2009. Now, one new law could make it easier for kindergarten and first graders to be held back. The law will require a first grader be held back if they do not pass a universal reading test. That test will be given at the end of the school year. Lawmakers overrode a veto from Governor Beshear to pass that. Now, the governor had said that the law will punish young learners and have unintended consequences. Now, another huge change is the banning of cell phones, and the JCPS board voted to ban cell phones for the entire day, so kids can't take it out during recess or during lunch. Let's go back to Olivia for more on that.
Yeah, that's right, Shannon. That change comes after a new state law limiting cell phone use during instructional time. District leaders say schools have been updating policies because of the change, and Wave News reporter Rob Wells has been digging deeper into the impacts of it and how it will affect parents' ability to communicate with their students. Rob?
Olivia, good morning. The district says that while cell phones may be useful, they really still don't fit the bill when it comes to the ABCs of basic learning. The Jefferson County Board of Education voting to ban cell phones in schools for this academic year. You may recall in a 6-1 vote in May, the board voted that JCPS students would not be allowed to use phones during the school day, and that even includes during the lunchtime. The district considered 2 other options that would have only banned cell phones during class time and in hallways, but would have allowed them at lunch. Results of a survey, though, showed that more than half of teachers and just about 30% of parents supported the ban for the entire day.
Well, the cell phones, we do have students who bring cell phones all the way, I would say beginning maybe 3rd grade, all of our 5th graders. We've always handled that where the cell phones are not in the classrooms. They have to be off and in their backpacks and in their lockers. So that's not going to be a big change for us. We have really worked very hard to keep that distraction from our classrooms for a very long time.
Only one board member, that was Linda Duncan, voted against that ban. She said she's been through similar proposals in the past and says that sometimes when someone breaks those new policies, it becomes a tough spot because they're handled on a case-by-case basis. She added that a ban poorly enforced isn't a ban at all. JCPS board members say that students will be able to keep the cell phones on them. Schools might require them to keep them in a pouch or even in their backpack. Olivia, back to you.
Rob, thank you. And finally, we want to see the photos of your kids' first day of school. You can send those to us through the Wave News app or upload them to our website, wave3.com. And stay with the Sunrise team tomorrow for full back-to-school team coverage. We have so many things to talk about, but we've got to see those cute pictures, Tawana.
Oh, for sure. I posted my kindergarten photo. The dimple has not changed. I did look at that. The dimple is the same. For those of you heading out, we are keeping an eye on a little bit of some patchy fog across the area. Watching for highs today near 90 degrees and keeping an eye on the radar for a few isolated rain chances. But we're going to have to wait a while before we see a significant chance for showers and thunderstorms coming back our way. Let you know when that's going to be a little bit more likely on the other side of the break.
Sounds good. Thanks, Tawana. Just ahead here on Sunrise, the first man found guilty for his part in the disappearance of Crystal Rogers will spend more than a decade in prison. We'll tell you what's next for Stephen Lawson and his co-defendants. And a Metro Council member worried about how a major construction project will impact students' routes to school. We'll see the changes that are being made to ensure a smooth ride to and from school. But speaking of a ride to school, it looks like things are all clear when it comes to traffic. Good news for those bus drivers and for those parents dropping their kids off this morning. Looks like our roads are all clear. We're off to a great start so far.
Now, Wave News.
This morning, many parents are wondering when the bus will drop their kids off at school and when they'll be returned home. A construction project in East Louisville could impact the timing of that, though. Metro Council member Scott Reed says he's contacted city and state transportation leaders about the construction along the Watterson Expressway near Brownsboro and Westport roads. We've told you about how a $130 million project in the area has caused frustration for some drivers. Council member Reed says traffic signal operators from KYTC will be tweaking signal timing along that stretch to hopefully keep things moving smoothly. But this morning, students getting ready for that humidity out at the bus stop. And Shannon, how does it feel as students are getting out there?
Oh, it feels exactly how you described it. It is extremely humid. I was telling Dr. Yearwood, who I just had a chance to talk to, the new superintendent, he's wearing a suit and a tie. And I said, you're going to be really hot today. And he said, I already am.
Yeah, and it's early.
I know the kids, yeah, the kids probably have their outfits out. I know first day of outfit, super important. But I hope it's something that will let the air breathe.
Yeah, for sure. So something light and comfortable. That would be the key to things for today, as we have to deal with the humidity. We have to deal with that heat coming back our way. And we are going to be watching for a couple of isolated downpours. We'll talk about that in just a second. But right now, we're seeing 60s and low 70s. That mugginess is still in place. For the metro, temperatures ranging anywhere from 68 degrees for those of you in Jeffersonville, 75 here at Wave News downtown, but 71 into Fairdale and St. Matthews. You are at 69 degrees right now in Fern Creek. A little bit more of that patchy fog now starting to show up in some spots anywhere from near Jasper up towards Seymour, and even into parts of Meade County and Nelson County getting in on some of this patchy fog this morning. But it's just that, patchy. Not everyone will have to contend with it, and we are going to see improvements, especially as we get closer to 8, 9 o'clock this morning. Right now, we're looking from our SkyTrack camera in downtown Louisville off towards the east. We are seeing that the beginnings of another gorgeous sunrise, some clouds off into the distance there, and there's a little bit of some patchy fog showing up in the distance as well right along the horizon. Overall, though, most of us are quiet this morning with those mainly clear skies. We are going to keep an eye on some of those clouds drifting our way from the northwest, but high pressure, yeah, that is still hanging out with us for today. It's going to keep things quiet and warm as we get into the afternoon. Most of us talking about mid to upper 80s for your highs. In the metro, yeah, we'd be closer to 90 degrees later on today. And while this morning, yes, we're dealing with some of that patchy fog, as I mentioned, once we approach 8, 9 o'clock, that's going to mix out plenty of sunshine by lunch. And once we get past 12 o'clock, this is when we'll start to see more of these isolated showers and thunderstorms popping up across the area. They'll be just that, isolated. So the majority of us not dealing with any rainfall. But for those of you that do see some of these thunderstorms moving your way, they can produce some heavy rain. They can produce some gusty winds. And some of them may not move a whole lot. They may just rain themselves out over you. So that's something else that we'll keep an eye on, especially with some of us dealing with already saturated ground. In terms of potential rainfall totals, we could see anywhere from absolutely nothing to an inch of rain. Just depends on those downpours for later on today. For tomorrow morning, we'll wake up to temperatures in the 60s and low 70s yet again, ending up into the upper 80s and low 90s for your Friday. So Friday overall looking pretty good. We see that heat building through the weekend. So Saturday and Sunday, more of those low 90s showing up. And by the time we reach next Tuesday and Wednesday, this is when we'll see some more of those showers and thunderstorms coming our way, courtesy of a front. The question is, how close will it get to our region? 1, 2, will it actually make its way through our area? And 3, when will it show up? Right now, some models have it coming our way on Tuesday. Others have it coming our way on Wednesday. That is something we'll monitor as we get throughout the next few days and especially into the weekend. So don't be surprised if you see some changes in the forecast there. Beyond that, Going to be talking about some more of that heat sticking around. So for the first full week and a half of August, we are going to fully feel like August.
About right. Thank you, Tawana. The first man found guilty for his part in the disappearance and presumed death of Crystal Rogers will spend 17 years in prison. Stephen Lawson was found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with physical evidence. Lawson did not react when the sentencing was read. Prosecutors say he helped his former employer, Brooks Houck, and his son, Joseph Lawson, cover up evidence connected to the Rogers case in the days after she disappeared in July 2015. Lawson will have the ability to appeal his sentence. The man Crystal was dating when she disappeared, Brooks Houck, and Stephen Lawson, his son, Joseph, are set to be sentenced on August 21st. 6:22 now. Big changes coming to Bourbon and Beyond this year. We'll explain the new experiences that fans can look forward to this year. All right, so that first day of school forecast, so important, Tawana, but this weekend we have the St. Joe's picnic, too. Hopefully we have some good weather for that.
It's looking great for everything going on this weekend and for the first day of school for today. So today we're going to see those highs. They're 90 degrees, going to see plenty of sunshine as well. We'll watch for a couple of isolated downpours for this afternoon and into the evening. Now for tomorrow, we'll be back into the low 90s for highs. Rain chances a little bit lower. Going to keep those lower rain chances through the weekend as temperatures gradually climb further into the low 90s. Going to keep the heat around through most of next week. The only glitch in that will be our potential for showers and thunderstorms Tuesday into Wednesday as a cold front sweeps through then. The question is, will it actually make its way all the way through our area? As of right now, that doesn't look quite likely. In fact, we'll dry out for the end of next week as we watch for more of those low 90s in the forecast.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Tawana. Bourbon and Beyond fans, there are some big changes coming to next month's four-day festival. Music lovers will dance out at the Kentucky Expo Center grounds, and for the first time ever, they'll have access to Kentucky Kingdom. All festival ticket holders will be able to exclusively visit the park on September 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th. In addition to those perks, ticketed guests will also get access to 18 amusement rides inside Kentucky Kingdom. Plus, they can use extra shaded areas, picnic spots, and even more restrooms. Those are coming in clutch when you're at a music festival. Hurricane Bay, though, will not be open during the festival. So here's a new updated map. It shows added stages and other festival entrants to get people in quicker, shade trees and turf grass. The merchandise stand was also moved inside to get air conditioning. A good move there. Bourbon and Beyond kicks off on September 11th this year. Here's this year's lineup. Thursday's headliner is Fish. Friday, Noah Kahan. Saturday, it's Sturgill, Johnny Blue Sky Simpson. And finally on Sunday, it's the Lumineers. Other notable appearances include Kentucky's own Cage the Elephant, the Goo Goo Dolls, and my favorite, Benson Boone. We'll be right back.
Now, Wade News Sunrise.
Good morning. It is now 6:30 on your Thursday morning. Not just any Thursday, the first day of school. Shannon, you already posted your first day of school picture. I saw that out there at the bus compound.
Yes, I did. I was right out here. Not a child picture, but it is so sticky out here. I have this desk in front of me, and it is damp. So, yeah, not a great hair day for sure.
No, but hey, at least you can at least make your outfit more cute and stylish. I'm sure those kids have had those planned out for a few days now.
Oh yeah, they are ready to go, and hopefully whatever outfit they have features some lighter fabrics, because yes, we do have the heat, we do have that humidity, and for those bus rides home, woo, yeah, it's going to be a little toasty. We're looking outside on our SkyTrack camera off towards the east, patiently waiting for the sun to come up, which will happen in 20 minutes. Your temperatures right now are mainly in the 60s, low to mid 60s across the area, but we still have a couple of spots in the 70s. It is 73 degrees at the airport in Louisville, 70 degrees right now for those of you in Salem. So yeah, everybody's warm. But for the bus stop forecast, at least we do have some good news. Yes, while we're seeing a little bit of that patchy fog out there, is not a widespread issue, so I'm going to take that as a win. And for later on this afternoon, most of us will be in the 80s for highs, so that ride home will be on the warmer side as we keep an eye on that potential for an isolated downpour or two. Now today we're looking at a high near 90. And then once we get into later on this week, this is when we'll see more of that heat building across the region. So while the first day of school today for many kids is a little warm, Monday and Tuesday of next week looking even warmer. So parents, teachers, bus drivers, plan ahead for that. Olivia?
Yeah, just expecting it to get worse. Thanks, Tawana. This morning, Kentucky's largest school district welcomes students back to the classroom. The lesson plans are set and the logistics are in place to get the more than 97,000 students to school. And my co-anchor Shannon Kogan live at the JCPS Nichols bus compound this morning with hundreds of bus drivers getting ready for those morning routes. Good morning, Shannon.
Good morning. Yeah, I talked to some of them inside, and they are excited, ready to go. Mark Hebert is communications manager with JCPS, and happy first day to you.
Happy first day to you too,
This is
Shannon.
a long first day for you. That's always a long day.
First day, but a good day.
A good day, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have some new laws in effect. The cell phone.
Yep.
Are you concerned with how kids are going to respond to that, and is it going to be difficult for teachers constantly having to say, put that away?
I don't think so. I think the example of Fern Creek High School, which has had the no cell phone policy for a couple of years now, it's been great. The biggest problem they have is with the adults, the parents trying to text their kids in the middle of the day
right.
and wondering why they can't get a hold of them. So I think that's going to be the biggest adjustments for a lot of the parents and perhaps the staffs in the schools because they're used to, in the middle of class, getting on there and texting their husband or their wife or whatever.
Oh, they can't do it either.
Well, they can, but that's not setting a good example for the kids.
No, that's so true, yeah.
So I think a lot of the schools are telling their staff, hey guys, only pull out your cell phones when you're at lunch and not in the classroom. So,
wow.
So I think that's going to be the biggest adjustment. I think the students are going to handle it just fine, I think.
Okay, and we have 485-RIDE. That hotline is open already right now at 6 o'clock this morning.
Yep, so people can call if they've got a question about where they're supposed to meet the bus or what bus number their child is supposed to be on at the bus stop. They can call 485-RIDE and get that information. There's probably 30 or so people answering telephones right now. It's a hotline.
Okay, and it's open until 7 o'clock this evening.
Yep.
Okay, and all of the bus routes are covered this year, so no shortage of drivers.
No, we're good. Last year was a great year for bus driving and bus riding, and we got the kids to school on time and got them home on time for the most part last year. And we're hoping for the same thing this year. We think we're in great shape.
Terrific. All right. Well, thank you so much, and enjoy your last first day of school because you retire at the end of the month.
I do. I retire at the end of the month.
Yeah. Well, I've been asking you what you're going to do, and you're going to be busy.
I'm going to be busy. I'm going to play some golf. I'll be traveling.
Oh, that sounds lovely. That sounds great. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. Good to see you too. So we have all those kids heading back again. 485-RIDE is that hotline if you need to find out anything. They've already had 4,000 calls. It's been open for the last couple of weeks. They're going to be open until 7 o'clock tonight too. And today's also the start of a new era for JCPS. They have a new superintendent who started July 1st. That is Dr. Brian Yearwood. He replaced Dr. Marty Polio, who retired, is what he said, but he actually is now at Ivy Tech Community College. Yearwood was the superintendent for Columbia Public Schools in Missouri before joining JCPS. We spoke to him this morning, and he says he's really excited to meet all the students and some of the teachers. He's going to be going to lots of different schools. One of his goals this year is to boost academic performance.
I'm very big on academic growth. I want every child in this district, all 96,000, to grow. That means at least a year of academic growth in a year's time in math, in reading. Our students should be growing and learning, and that's a common expectation. Now, of course, there are other issues that come up, transportation and things like that, but we're working through that.
So he'll be visiting several schools throughout the area, including Crumbs Lane Elementary School. That is his first stop this morning, and Wave News reporter Marissa Burke is there live this morning. And you know what's interesting? This is going to be the first day of school for lots of those babies who were born in 2020 during the height of the COVID pandemic, Marissa.
Absolutely, and teachers and the principals say that they can already tell that this group of kids is super excited. One of the things that JCPS does to prepare those incoming kindergartners is they host a Ready for K camp, and in it they teach kids how to stand in a line, things that they're not going to learn how to do that at home, right? So when they do this camp, they are making sure that they take away some of those first day fears that kids may have. Studies say that this incoming group of kindergartners may not struggle adjusting to the classroom because they didn't have to transition to virtual learning like many others did. One principal tells us that no matter how her incoming kindergartners feel, they'll meet them where they're at.
We've had students come that have never been around other children on a regular basis, and we teach them how to make friends and how to work together in a collaborative team type of situation. Some of our kids are very social, and they come in with those skills, and it all works out.
The Greater Louisville Project shared a report that said Louisville students have consistently scored near the state average for kindergartner readiness. And so for this group of incoming kindergartners, that data is going to be so unique so that we're learning how well these kids are adapting to their new surroundings. Because, again, these are our COVID babies who were in lockdown, even though they didn't know too much back then. But I know that they're going to be super excited to see their friends and their teachers. School opens at 7:40 here at Crumbs Lane, and I already see some kids hanging out at the bus stop. So I just feel the first day excitement. I remember my first day of school. So I'm going to send it back to you, Shannon. How are things there?
Thank you, Marissa. We hope all those kids have a great first day. I'm sure there will be some tears for the kids and also for the parents, too. It can be emotional watching your little baby head into that school building. Now, there are some new laws in effect. I mentioned the cell phone bill, and there's also a new law as it pertains to how students and teachers can communicate. For more on that, I'll send it back to Olivia.
Yeah, Shannon, that's right. The law requires staff to only communicate with students through traceable online platforms, which their school district has approved. And supporters of the law say it will limit the possibility of inappropriate conversations. Wave News reporter Rob Wells explaining how JCPS is adjusting to the new law. Rob?
Good morning, Olivia. A new law in Kentucky is aimed at restricting ways in which teachers and students communicate electronically. We're talking about Senate Bill 181 that prohibits non-traceable communication between school employees as well as all students. It also requires schools to establish at least one means of communication that is, in fact, traceable. The law prohibits communication through things like text messages, personal email accounts, and social media platforms. School staff are encouraged to now only use the school email to communicate with students in Google Classroom, which we've learned has been used for the past several years. School leaders say that the new required training has helped teachers adjust to these new laws.
Thinking about that, we're thinking through all the scenarios. Of course, we are training our teachers on the approved platforms that we use, that we will be using to communicate two-way communication with families. A lot of our families have always used email anyway, so that will continue. I don't think it's going to impact us as much as some of the high schools and so forth, but we will definitely be providing training and updates on that.
School staff members in some districts, we've learned, are being trained on what's called the Apogee Brooms platform, which will provide yet another way for educators and students to communicate in the new year. While Kentucky education leaders feel that this new law was written with good intentions and student safety in mind, of course they have concerns. So what's the biggest? That'd be getting everybody on board with only using approved forms of communication. Let's send it over now to Tawana with a look at the weather.
And what we're seeing for that first day of school, a little bit of that patchy fog out there. So not just in the metro, but many portions of Wave Country dealing with it to start off the day. Thankfully, not a widespread issue, though. Once we head into the afternoon for that ride home, a couple of isolated downpours possible. Most of us, though, just talking about the sunshine and that heat building across the region. I'll break down how hot it's going to get later on today and how long this heat wave is going to stick around after the break. And hint, it is going to be quite a while.
All right, thanks, Tawana. And taking a look at traffic this morning, our traffic map all green, not seeing any incidents out there. Our Metro traffic cameras seem to agree with us. It looks like everything is rolling smoothly for a great start to the first day of school. Justices could make a ruling that could completely shift how the district operates. The JCPS Board of Education is challenging the law created by Senate Bill 1. It was passed in 2022. Specifically, the law gives the JCPS superintendent more power over day-to-day operations, and the school board would be in charge of long-term policy and planning. Advocates say it will speed up the decision-making process in the district. Critics, though, argue its implications are too far-reaching. If Senate Bill 1 is overturned, Attorney General General Russell Coleman says the next step could be to declare the Jefferson County-Louisville merger unconstitutional. Supreme Court justices heard arguments yesterday. As of now, no decisions have been made. When students return to Bates Elementary School today to begin that new school year, they'll notice a new addition. That's a brand new inclusive playground. It has play features in the Bates Elementary colors of blue and yellow. Bates students started raising out money for that project back in 2023. Amazing to see it all come together like that, and all the students can play on it.
Oh, I love that. I love it when everyone can get together. For recess today, when those kids go outside, they may be sweating a little bit, and it's not just going to be because they're running their little eyes out.
It's so cute to see them when they come in after recess and they're all sweaty. I say cute, it's probably a bit stinky too, but their faces are red, their hair is all just sweaty and soaked to their heads.
It is adorable.
And they are so happy though.
Yeah, they had the best time. So yeah, for today, it's more about that sunshine, more about that heat coming our way. I'm going to talk about that, plus of course talking about the heat for the weekend in just 30 seconds. Good morning, meteorologist Juana Andrew here with a check of your Thursday forecast, and we're waking up the temperatures in the 60s for most of us. Yet again, still holding on to 70 though in Salem, and still seeing 73 degrees at the airport in Louisville. We have been watching a little bit of that patchy fog forming, especially for those of you a little bit more so in southern Indiana from parts of Clark County all the way up towards portions of Lawrence County. Also seeing some of that fog and lower visibility showing up in portions of Du Bois and Perry County. Thankfully, it does not look to be a widespread issue, but it can be impactful this morning, especially as kids are heading back to school and many adults are heading back to work. Now, across Kentucky, while the fog is not widespread, we are still watching it in portions of Meade, Bullitt, even in parts of Nelson counties to start off the day, especially near our area of rivers, so keep that in mind. But most of us are seeing this already getting in on some of that blue sky, as most of us are starting off the day with those clear skies. We are adding in a few of those clouds for those of you further to the north as they drift into our area. They're just going to make for an interesting sunrise. That's it. We're not expecting much from them as high pressure is still in control. Now with that high off towards our east, we are going to be dealing with more of that southerly flow across the area. So the southerly wind plus of course that sunshine going to drive us to near 90 degrees for this afternoon. And while most of us will get to enjoy all of that sunshine, we'll have to keep an eye on that potential for a couple of isolated downpours. Now, these will become a little bit more likely after lunch. So just like yesterday, once we get towards noon, we'll keep an eye on the radar for a few of those showers and thunderstorms firing up across the area. While most of us are going to be bone dry today, for those of you who do see the rainfall, you can see anywhere from 1/10 of an inch to 1 inch of rain, a lot like what many of us dealt with yesterday. Once we head into tonight, the skies will clear right back out. Our temperatures will fall back down into the 60s and the low 70s. Here is your 10-day tomorrow. That heat continues to build. We'll see those highs back into the low 90s for your Friday. So that means for the beginning of the St. Joe's picnic, it's going to be a little bit warm. We'll be seeing those temperatures near 90 degrees as everything kicks off at 5 p.m. tomorrow. And then we'll gradually fall through the 80s as the evening wears on. So whatever booths have beverages, those will be the most popular. For those of you maybe having outdoor plans for Saturday and Sunday, keep in mind the sunshine and the heat will still be the focus of the forecast. And we'll watch that heat building into next week. Now, an update of what we're going to be looking at towards the middle of next week. We'll be keeping an eye on the front pushing towards us, and I was just looking at some of the newer models coming in, and it looks like that front is going to stall out to our north. So that means rain chances not looking as impressive towards next Tuesday and Wednesday. Still going to talk about some isolated downpours on Tuesday, a better chance for some scattered storms on Wednesday, but really it's just going to be about that continued heat through most of next week as we keep those highs in the low 90s. We'll have much more of sunrise after the break.
We're following all of your top headlines in today's Wake Up Watch List. Today's the first day of school for JCPS. Also, the first day of school for the new superintendent, Dr. Brian Yearwood. Wave News anchor Shannon Kogan is live at the Nichols Bus Compound where drivers are getting their days started. Good morning, Shannon.
Good morning to you. 651 bus drivers will be heading off to pick up those more than 96,000 students. A huge day for students and their families, and also the 18,000 JCPS employees who will be heading out to their schools too. The superintendent said he has a message for parents, and that is get your child to school. He said he's really focusing on boosting academic performance, and a key part of that is having children in school. Parents, if you have any questions still about your child's bus route, you can call 485-RIDE. That is the JCPS bus hotline number. They have staff there ready to take any questions. They are open right now, and they're going to stay open until 7 o'clock tonight. So again, that number is 485-RIDE. We had some changes this year, so there's that no cell phone policy in place. Kids cannot take it out at all during the day, and also there's a moment of silence that will start off the school day. So some changes. We hope everyone has a terrific first day of school.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shannon. The first man found guilty for his part in the disappearance of Crystal Rogers will spend 17 years in prison. Stephen Lawson was found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with physical evidence. Prosecutors say he helped his former employer Brooks Houck and his son Joseph Lawson cover up evidence connected to the Rogers case. Lawson will have the ability to appeal the sentencing. And today we're expected to learn more about a plan to expand EMS services in Bullitt County. The Zone 10 fire chief says the department plans to apply for a certificate of need to operate a ground ambulance service. This would allow the department to operate its own ambulances. The fire chief is expected to give more details about it during a news conference at 10 o'clock this morning. Here's Tawana with that first day of school forecast.
And this morning, yes, our temperatures are in the 60s and low 70s. And in terms of our sticky meter, we are muggy across the area. So keep that in mind as you're getting the cute hairstyles ready to go. Right, just want to throw that out there. Plenty of blue sky for most of us, but we are watching a little bit of that patchy fog this morning. Once we head into the afternoon, it's all about the sunshine, highs near 90 degrees, and we'll keep an eye on that potential for a couple of isolated showers and thunderstorms. Most of us will be dry. Here's your 10-day. We are going to be keeping that heat in the forecast from today all the way through next week. So not much relief in sight. Even the rain chances that we were looking at for next Tuesday and Wednesday, I was just looking at the new models that were coming in, not looking as impressive. So we might have to drop that rain chance for Wednesday a little bit lower. So keep an eye on that.
And our traffic this morning looks like it's great for the first day of school. Slowing down on Bardstown Road in Fern Creek, though. That's pretty normal for this hour of the day. Plus, back to school, of course, there are going to be a lot more buses out there, so we can see some delays throughout the metro. But right now, everything at least is off to a good start. A great way to start our first day of school.
Where did summer go? That's my big question. It's like it was over before it began, and it seemed like it used to go back to school later in the year. Now it's right in the middle of summer, but that's all right.
That's all right. The heat, though, is going to be with us. I feel bad for Shannon being out there.
She's been dealing with it like a trooper this morning, Shannon.
Thank you. Yes, forget the hair today. I don't even know why I wasted my time this morning, to be honest.
Well, you still look fabulous. And Rob, this is first day of school, and your first day on air, too. I'm sure it feels like the first day of school.
With all my brand new friends right here in my classroom. It's great to be with you.
We'll have much more back-to-school coverage coming up on Sunrise Extra.
Get live streaming news, 24-hour weather, investigations, podcasts, and more. All